Alright, so today I'm going to be ranking all 22 Pixar movies from the worst to the best. I'm going to give a quick explanation on why I liked it and then move on to the next one, so I don't drag this video out to a ridiculous amount of time. Also, this is my own opinion and there is no right or wrong answer. Alright, so let's get into it. To kick things off in last place, we have Cars 2. Now, Cars 2 has a strange storyline. It starts out with the racing Grand Prix, but then turns into this spy mission with Mater as the main character, and that kind of goes against the point that they are cars. If they weren't cars, it might have made for a better movie. Alright, up next we have Brave. With Brave, I feel like it was one of the weaker Pixar movies. It has a strange storyline with Merida's mother being turned into a bear, and I feel like the movie was just a little forgettable. Next, we have Cars 3. Now, I don't mind Cars 3. It did focus heavily on the racing part of it again, which was good, and how Lightning is now concerned about how he's getting older and there are newer cars coming in that are faster than him, and how his story is similar to Doc's. I don't really have much to say about it, but the concept of them being cars still just isn't great. At number 19, we have The Good Dinosaur. Now, this movie isn't that bad. The animation is beautiful, but I feel like the storyline was very slow at times and had a lot of sad, depressing scenes for no good reason. It's probably not the best Pixar film and not really up to their standard. Up next, we have Cars. Now, as I said before, the concept of cars living in the human world isn't really a good idea, but the storyline has a good message about slowing down in life and noticing the little things, and that is represented through Lightning. It's not the best, it's not the worst. Up next, we have A Bug's Life. Now, A Bug's Life has a nice, simple story that is both very clever and very enjoyable. The animation is a little outdated, but you can't blame them, considering it was only Pixar's second feature-length film. It is a story about a bunch of unlikely characters trying to save the day, and I think it's a little underrated. At number 16, we have Finding Dory. Now, I really like Finding Dory, even though it didn't really need to happen and answers a lot of questions you didn't ask. I still thought it was a really fun film that takes the characters to new places and introduces new characters that are both fun and develop the story, and it makes for a good film. Next is Inside Out. With Inside Out, I feel like they stretched out the story a lot and the characters had to keep getting back to headquarters, but then something else went wrong. And I know that needs to happen for the plot to go forward, meaning it just gets dragged out a lot. But I do think, apart from that, it's such a clever idea about what happens in your head, and it makes for a really fun movie. Up next, we have WALL-E. Now, WALL-E is a very informative movie about saving the Earth, but it can also manage humour with characters that don't even really speak. Inside of this love story about robots, it really makes for a fun movie with a good message. At number 13, we have Up. Now, Up is a very sweet but also sad film. It tells the story of someone who just wants to live their lifelong dream, but it does have some very strange creative choices in it, like dogs with talking collars that can also fly planes and a house that is lifted up by balloons. Even though that might seem a bit weird, all of those tied in together can make for a bittersweet family film. Up next, we have Monsters University. Now, I really do like this film. It tells a simple story about how Mike and Sally met and how they both compete in the scare games, how they became really close. It's a good addition to the Monster series, and it's a really fun film. Next, we have Onward. Now, if you'd like me to go into more depth and detail about this movie, I actually have reviewed it on my channel before, so you can want to go check that out if you want to. But I do like how this movie dives into what it would be like if we had this magical world that is filled with modern day technology and two brothers seeing if they can still find a bit of magic in the world. That in itself makes for a great concept that also has some heartwarming moments. At number 10, we have Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo is a very entertaining film about an overprotective dad who travels the depth of the ocean to try and find his son. It has a bit of everything. It has some sad moments, action-packed moments, a bit of comedy as well tied into it. It really makes for a memorable, heartwarming film that is sure to be a Pixar classic. At number 9 is Toy Story 3. This film is an action packed thriller, but inside of that, it tells the story about what happens when kids grow out of toys and how they get passed on to like a daycare and how they deal with that. It has some moments in it that make you want to cry and one of the best endings to a film, and it does it in a special way that it's not the end of the Toy Story series and there's still more story to tell. It has amazing character development, and that is why it's at number 9. Next, we have Coco. Now, Coco highlights the importance of family and tradition through a famous Mexican holiday, the Day of the Dead. It did it in a clever and unique way by showing the land of the dead and what the holiday was all about. The music in this film was displayed very well, and that's why it's probably one of my favourites and one of Pixar's best. At number 7, we have Toy Story 2. Around this time it came out, animated sequels were cheaply made and not very good, but this movie proved them all wrong by making a near perfect movie that still holds up today, that is both fun and imaginative. It introduces new characters that are important to the story and makes for a great addition to the Toy Story series. Next, we have Toy Story 4. Now, it was very hard when trying to place the Toy Story movies on the ranking because they're all so good as each other, and that's why they're all so close. But the reason I put the movie at number 6 was because I don't think I've ever been this excited for a film before. This movie does a great job of wrapping up Woody's story. They didn't really do it in Toy Story 3, but they did it perfectly in Toy Story 4. It gives us a nice, satisfying, bittersweet ending to the Toy Story series. At number 5, we have Ratatouille. Now, I don't think a lot of people would have ranked this film so high on the list, but for some reason, I absolutely love this movie. It's one of my childhood favourites, and as a kid, I would watch it over and over and over. The concept about a rat that cooks food just seems bizarre, but for some reason, in this movie, it just works. It has a great message in it, and if you have not seen it, you should. It's one of Pixar's best. Up next, we have Incredibles 2. After 14 years, Pixar finally made Incredibles 2, and it was definitely worth the wait. This movie is jammed-packed with incredible action sequences that are animated really well. This movie has great character development, starring Helen as the main character, as she tries to make supers re-legal again. It has a lot of funny scenes in it, especially with Bob and the kids, and a villain and plot twist that really get you thinking. At number 3 is The Incredibles. This was the first Pixar movie that starred humans as the main characters, and apart from it looking a little outdated, it still holds up. This movie highlights the importance of family, and it has stars of family who just happen to be superheroes, and the struggles they have to overcome if they want to work together. The plot in this movie is written really well and keeps you gripped till the end. I just put The Incredibles 2 behind this movie because this movie is just a little better and is a Pixar classic. At number 2 is Toy Story, Pixar's first film and the first fully computed animated film, might I add, still holds up to being one of the best films of all time. Toy Story tells a simple story about toys that come to life and how the main character, Woody, has to deal with Andy getting a toy that is better than him. This has always been one of my favourites and still holds the test of time today. And at number 1, we have Monsters, Inc. Now, this movie is so clever and asks the question, why do kids see monsters when they go to sleep at night? This movie is really funny and has two characters that are both relatable and fun to watch. You watch them try to solve problems in the most hilarious of ways, but it also has a good message that ties into the plot, and moments at the end that are both happy and sad. In my opinion, it's one of Pixar's best films and as close to you get as perfect. It's always been one of my favourites, and that is why it's at number 1. So there you go, that is my Pixar ranking. Comment down below what you thought and what Pixar movie is your favorite. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and give this video a big thumbs up, and I'll see you next Friday.